the Jack and Cole podcast. It's episode 19 now, and I'm so glad that you're here with us. My name is Cole, and joined with me, as always, is my marvelous co-host, Jack, better known as Goblin Ringleader. Jack, how are you doing today?
What's up? So happy. The wonderful witch is dead. Breach is banned. Certain things have changed. Legacy's kind of calmed down a little bit. Everybody's been complaining about sewing Micro Spawn, so I'm glad that card's gone. But a lot to talk about today. Just super excited.
Yeah, it's an action-packed episode. We're gonna try to keep it tight since there's really only two things on the docket here today. We've got the bans, obviously, and associated discourse, and then, of course, the we're just gonna recap a little bit more on the cheating, since we think that's fun. But we might do this in two separate episodes. If you don't see the second half, look for it elsewhere. Otherwise, let's dive right into it. Jack, kick it right off. What's going on? What's the news?
So Underworld Breach has been banned. Everybody in Modern has been clamoring for it. After Nadu, it's been really interesting that people have pointed out actually. It went Nadu, Boros Energy, and then now it's been Breach. Ever since they unbanned Mox Opal, Underworld Breach has been a consistent turn 2, turn 3 deck that plays out of the graveyard, plays through hate pretty easily. It's just an insane deck in Modern, and I think it was 6 out of the top 8 decks in the last like RC were Breach decks. It was like a huge percentage of the field. The numbers were insane, and they didn't want to ban the Mox Opal because they just unbanned it. People spent $400 on a playset. So yeah, Breach is gone. The witch is dead.
Mm. Yes, indeed. Underworld Reach, I'm not gonna miss you. I do own 3 copies of the card, so it's sad to see you go in that capacity, but I never played it in any, like, infinite combo strategy. I played it in prowess. The card stayed legal for too long in this format. The fact that it got banned so quickly in Standard and Pioneer, and it stuck around for
And Legacy.
and yeah, that's true, in Legacy too, and it just stuck around for as long as it did, I think is kind of egregious, so glad to see it banned. Um, I guess we could probably go into, like, the discussion since we already kind of went into a little bit of the explanation of the ban, so we just wanna go ahead and get right into the, explanation for Modern here, written by Carmen. Shout out to Carmen. We love you. And I will read just the top point of this paragraph here. So it says to echo a point from the opening of the article, December's update to the modern ban list did a lot to breathe new life into the format. We've seen Mox Opal, Green Sun Zenith, and Faithless Looting show up in a bunch of decks to varying degrees of satisfaction from the team here at Wizards. Green Sun's Zenith and showing up in Yawgmoth and Amulet Titan combo decks was something we anticipated and were happy with. Faithless Looting breathing new life into proactive graveyard-centric decks like Hollow One is also great. However, Mox Opal teaming up with Underworld Breach to create an explosive and resilient combo deck is not something we're happy with. Um, Spike said something funny on stream today about Jesse getting memorialized into the BNR with her RC winning Breach list, which is only the most fitting and poetic thing possible. So shout out to them for doing that.
Yeah,
Um,
that was amazing. Yeah, I was about to say, yeah, it's crazy that I think of them as a local, as a local takes down the RC and then is memorialized in the article. This list is insane. Like if you look at this list, if you've played this list or played against this list, you know how good it is. It's absolutely crazy how consistent. Sometimes you get turn two on the play, so you've only played your first land and you're picking up your cards because they thought this oracled you already. Um, it's in my mind, it's similar to Nadu in like the level of ridiculousness that it is because it's just so good. I remember losing to this deck. Oh my god, Breach, Underworld Breach. I remember losing to Underworld Breach before we had Mox Opal unbanned.
mhm.
People were just playing it fairly, and I remember being like, "Oh, this might be something." And then they got Mox Opal, and I was like, "Oh no!" It was insane. It's insane to watch it. I'm glad it's gone.
Yeah, for sure. The deck did just work with 4 I don't wanna say it worked, it struggled to function with 4 Mox Ambers, but still somehow,
Mhm.
like, Jesse taking the list without Mox Opal and doing well with it consistently in REL tournaments just kind of displays how you can champion a strategy, and especially when the strategy is linear, sometimes has a combo finish, and typically doesn't interact with the creature side of things. You see a lot of like, I think of Amulet when I think of that like, recipe for success. Um, but yeah, no, super cool here. I think this is pretty much like what we expected as the modern community is Underworld Breach to be banned. I think some of us were holding our breath to see other things unbanned, and while I think it's completely reasonable to have expected some cards to come off the ban list based on how aggressive they were to unban the cards that we saw, their their explanation here makes a lot of sense about, hey, there's decks here, there's promise for the format to take off with these cards that we unbanned. So let's give it some time. So yeah.
It's very different to hear them talk about, like, planting cards into decks and, like, propping up archetypes, because that means that they're actually thinking about these eternal formats, and they're mindful of how their bannings and unbannings are affecting those things, where before, very much so, it was people say this card's bad. People say this card's not fun. Now I think it's like a wizard's first like, oh, we want this format to be enjoyable. We want this format to not have a resilient combo deck that can kill you on turn two. And that's a
Yeah,
good thing for us as players.
you're totally right. It's like it's not a good feeling when you bring in half your sideboard to beat a strategy to try and beat a strategy that ends up beating you anyway. Like when you face mill and you put 4 Emmercools in your sideboard and you get to bring them in, like there's a certain feeling there where you're like, aha, and like Tasha's hideous laughter and things have like helped. But if you put 4 Emmercools in your sideboard, like Mill's gonna
You're
fucking die.
probably gonna beat you're probably gonna beat Mill.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
you're probably gonna meet Mill, but then die.
yeah, and like Breach just didn't really have that. Modern couldn't just put 4 pithing needles in their deck and be, grinding beat Breach. So good to see it go. You know, I would have liked to see more unbans personally, just clean up that ban list and give us more tools to work with. But again, my issue I think about this is less of like, oh, I would have liked to see more unbans and bans. It's like we have to wait until June 30th until the next banned and restricted announcement, and I'm bummed about that. Like, if Eldrazi is a huge problem in Modern, and we get to, like, a similar place where all the top 8 decks are Eldrazi decks, I'm gonna be bummed about that, you know? So, I don't know.
Definitely.
It's
Yeah,
a probably a preference thing.
I feel like with Breach gone, right? Like the natural thing that preyed on Eldrazi, like Boros. I don't think Boros kills Eldrazi. I think Boros gets destroyed by Eldrazi. Like there's a couple draws that can kill faster than Eldrazi can, but I think that overall the Eldrazi deck kind of plays Kozilek's command and Kozilek's return slows down the Boros deck enough to like land their big things and then just takes over the late game. I think combo decks were probably the way that you were keeping Eldrazi in check. With the combo decks being gone, either something's going to replace Breach as like the de facto combo of Modern. I don't see it being Splinter Twin. Maybe it's Yawgmoth. And then after that, right, like we'll see whether or not you're right. Eldrazi comes back to the top because they haven't lost anything.
Yeah. You make some good points. The deck has good tools. It's got Soul Land, has access to, like, busted mana acceleration that other decks don't. So we'll see there. Let's move on. Unless you have any other closing thoughts about the modern ban announcement here. Okay.
Ding dong, the witch is dead.
So notably, no changes in standard or pioneer. Um, some people were pushing for like a monstrous rage or beanstalk ban. Understandable. I think like ultimately, I feel fine with no changes in standard pioneer. I think that format is just in shambles. So I really don't know what to do about pioneer. I think it needs some
two,
major
two, thi-
surgery.
two things to say. The first thing was they said in their standard reasoning that Pixie was like the balancing act. I think they said the reason why they didn't want to ban anything was because one of the most exciting aspects of this standard format is to the degree in which it continues to evolve, even between the set releases. The self-bound synergy deck, featuring Nurturing Pixie and This Time Big Enough, are a well-known pillar of standard, but weren't popular until over a month after the release of Foundations, despite the fact that the shell of the deck existed. Basically, they're saying we don't want to ban anything because cool decks exist, like Pixie. Pixie's cool, you know? Everybody loves Pixie. So the
Yeah.
people who are not playing, if you're not playing red
Mm.
and you're not playing beans and you're not playing Pixie, you're looking at this BNR like what is this?
Yeah.
Like,
For once, I'd like for them to just have, like, a nice, aggressive philosophy on bannings, especially in a format that's supposed to feel like it rotates. Like, I understand them creating a longer standard format. I think for the most part, it's been okay, but, like, as you kind of realize, having more cards doesn't necessarily mean your metagame diversity is more. It just kind of accentuates the strongest strategies in that card pool. So if you don't take out, you know, nur like, if you don't take out, like, Nurturing Pixie or, like, Hopeless Nightmare and Monstrous Rage and Up the Beanstalk, which might seem like, "Oh, you're just taking table legs off of tables," like, it's not gonna change because those are the strongest strategies in the 1,000 plus card pool that we have, and it's just kind of a shame. So, if anything, being like, "Okay, we're gonna try to ban 1 card of every color," and just be, like, aggressive like that, you know? Be like, "What's the
sure.
issue?" Like, "We're gonna ban Sunfall, we're gonna ban This Town Ain't Big Enough, we're gonna ban Hopeless
Monstrous
Nightmare."
Rage,
Yeah, Monstrous Rage and Beanstalk. All of them are gone. There you go.
boom. Look how easy that was, Cole. Look how easy that was. What did you just do? I think you just fixed everything.
And the format, I think, would be better as a result of it. Um, because yeah,
Yep, because other cards would be played.
yeah, for sure. So,
I like that. I like
yeah,
that a lot.
does
So
it
that's the point for standard I was gonna make. Um,
yeah, so
and
agreed with
Pioneer,
their standard, in an interesting spot, but also it could be in a better spot.
I, exactly. And Pioneer, some people have been asking for Unholy Annex to be banned, which is kind of insane. Red Black Demons is like the top deck, right? It's basically just red black mid range, but they just play demons with Unholy Annex, and they just like Soulstone Sanctuary to drain you. And like people have been like talking like, oh my god, we need to like ban thought like people are going crazy when they're asking for Thoughtseize to be banned. And they're like, please ban Thoughtseize. It's like, okay, let's take a look at what we're actually mad at right now.
Yeah,
And I think it's I don't want to say it's Shieldred, right? Shieldred's
yeah.
probably fine in Pioneer, but like it's gonna be something like people want a card banned, and if you look at the a big point of contention, the most recent Mythic Championship 8 Cole, I think the top 8 was all like mono red mice decks. Like the
Mm, it
Pioneer top 8,
was all
it's
standard
just
decks?
literally it's just the standard mice deck because it's
Yeah.
so powerful. It's just being ported over into Pioneer. And to be fair, I lost
I'm fine with
in
that, personally.
Pioneer when I went 4-3, I lost to a couple mice decks, and
Yeah,
one of I think two of my losses were against mice in Pioneer, which I did not expect at all. But the
yeah,
deck goes fast and it's hyper efficient, so
yeah.
we'll have to keep an eye on Pioneer to see whether or not things have to get banned. But for right now, it's the same idea as Standard. It's the Brewer's Paradise. We're gonna see what happens.
Except for the fact that, like, you're suffering from, like, with the red black deck, where it's, like, another example of, like, the card pool is massive in Pioneer, but
Oh, it's what you're saying.
you're selecting the very most hyper, like, Blood Tithe Harvester, Thoughtseize Fatal Push, Fable of the Mirror Breaker, Fear of Missing Out, Unholy Annex. Like, it's just the best cards in their category that you could be playing, and it's an illusion of choice. Like,
Yes, like
you're like, "Oh, what's my 56th through 60th card in my main deck gonna be?" This is, like,
children.
yeah, it's
It's
just
just
like
like
you don't actually have a choice here. So, yeah, unless they're doing something about that, I think that it's just gonna kinda stay the same. For me, it's encouraging to see more strategies break out, because if they're not gonna change anything about Pioneer, the only way that Pioneer is gonna change is if people innovate and they make something happen in the format. So
That's a good point.
not the ideal situation for me, but it is a situation we find ourselves in. Okay, what else we got here? We got Legacy. Some things happen in Legacy. I don't play the format, so what do you got for me?
Oh. Okay, so basically, the colorless Eldrazi deck in Legacy is pretty huge, but the Eldrazi ramp deck is also pretty huge. And in both of those decks, Force Sowing Microspawn is like the main thing that they play too early. They'll go like, here's my Ancient Tomb or my Eldrazi Temple, and then here's my Mox Diamond, and then I can cast like my Malevolent Rumble turn one, or like throw out my Fleshraker, and then either one of those plays turn one, turn two. Then you go Sowing Myco Spawn. With a Fleshraker, you get to shock your opponent and make a free Eldrazi spawn. If you went Malevolent Rumble, you just cast the sign like the you play you just play your land, cast with the Scion Sack. And so the hard thing about Sowing Myco Spawn is early on, it's basically your payoff for your fast mana. If your opponent's going to kill your Mox Diamond, I think that's if your opponent's going to kill your Mox Diamond or whatever fast mana artifacts that you use, it's going to allow you to replace your. It's going to grab your best land, which is
Mm,
usually ramp. Like you can either grab Eye of Ugin, you can grab Wasteland.
yeah,
Oh,
and you put
what's
yourself
really
out
messed up
of
about
range
this
of
card?
Wasteland, right? Which is so fucked up.
Yeah,
Like, you put them down
you
the mana, and you put yourself out of the mana denial situation.
exactly. Yeah, and so yeah, like with 6 mana, right? Three with just turn three soul lands.
Yeah.
You you cast your Sowing Mega Spawn kicked, take their land, get your wasteland, hit their land. It's like double Stone Rain for 6 mana, and you have a 3/3 Eldrazi with glaring Fleshraker. It shocks them.
Yeah,
Like
because
it's just a disgust.
it enters untapped for some reason.
It's disgusting. I've lost to them grabbing a tabernacle. Someone actually owned a Tabernacle of Pendrelvale.
Oof.
Uh, and they grabbed one and they passed to me, and I can only keep one goblin because I can only pay 1 mana.
Oh, no.
I've lost like 6 ways to Sunday with this card. It's insane. It's like the best thing against control too, because you
Yeah,
take their mana sources of certain colors,
yeah,
and yeah, it's just overall really really good.
yeah,
The
it
troll. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I was just gonna at ditto, keep going. What do you got for the troll?
The troll is like a super micro. It's like a prime example of power creep. So it's just the one of the cycling creatures from Lord of the Rings. It's literally just the Lord of the. It's like the Oliphant. You can just discard it, and then you replace itself. It replaces itself for a land, but you get this huge body in the graveyard consistently. You don't need to play Entomb anymore. You just need to have it in your hand. It puts itself in the graveyard, and then all of your stuff is able to be used to reanimate it, and then you can't block it because it has to be blocked by 3 creatures.
Yeah, super menace, triple baby menace is insane for sure.
So yeah, and it feels like it's its own entomb. Sometimes you're
For
just
sure.
like, oh, I only have 1 land. I have an animate dead, but I can grab my own land with this, and then with with the land that I grabbed from it, reanimate it, and then win the game.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this explanation. I mean, as someone who has played Zero Legacy, I drink the cope of Legacy having pillars still, and it's like, why get rid of reanimate or animate dead when you could get rid of troll and see how that goes. Now, how many bans has there been for reanimator strategies? I don't know. I don't play the format, so I don't know if this
I
is a
think this is
recurring
the
issue.
I think this is the third. This is the third ban because they went ban grief,
Psychic
ban
frog got
frog.
yeah,
They
yeah,
also played Vexing, as you say, and then they also played Troll. So this is the third ban in Legacy back to back to back to make the deck worse.
yeah. That's a good.
Um,
Oh, last December, strongest version, Vexabobble.
yeah, you
Yeah,
also this is the crazy thing. You played Grief and Vexing Bauble in the same deck
yeah, crazy.
because you could reanimate your Grief.
Yeah, and then so jealous. I am so jealous. Hopper gets so much love. Uh,
The Pauper creators went crazy today.
yeah, so Basking Broodscale is banned, Coldotha Rebirth is banned, and Deadly Dispute is banned. In addition to those 3 bans, they unbanned Prophetic Prism as well as High Tide. Now, again, I don't play any Pauper, but this is exciting, and I actually am actively interested in playing Pauper. So, if you
So
are watching this and have any Pauper experience, I would love for you to recommend me a deck in the comment section. Like, just please, wholesomely, if you know anything about Pauper, give me your favorite deck here.
so from what I know, very high level, Deadly Dispute is an insane value engine because you play cards like it's the 2 mana artifact that when it enters you draw, and then when it dies you draw.
Mhm,
And then you sack it with Deadly Dispute to make a treasure. So it's basically only 1 mana. Then you draw a card from the thing dying and 2 cards from the Deadly Dispute. So it's 1 mana draw 3. It's basically ancestral if you build around it.
yeah,
And then Prophetic Prism is so that explains why Deadly Dispute's banned. It's basically in certain decks ancestral recall. Kadoltha Rebirth is basically the best way. It's exactly what it is in standard in every other format. Kadoltha Rebirth is the best way to make 1/1 goblins uh, at 1 mana. If you're trying to just make a board, you can just like destroy an artifact, flood the board with 1/1s, and then pump them up. You get ATB triggers super easy.
yeah,
You can bushwhacker super fast with it. So that explains that. Brute scale, I feel like it's kind of less self-explanatory. You kind of need to look at the card to understand it, but super high level, it goes infinite, like a bunch of with a bunch of different cards in Pauper, and it's not super fun to have like a 2 card combo in Pauper. A lot of cards like need to a lot. There's a lot of 3 card combos in Pauper, not a lot of 2 card combos. So
mhm,
when a combo deck gets too strong in Pauper, they're really aggressive on the bans for it because it's such a soft format. It can get messed up super easily.
yeah, and shout out to them for being so on top of it. Okay, I think this is it. Overall closing thoughts on the banned and restricted announcement for today, March 31st, 2025.
I think Wizards did an amazing job. They should have maybe unbanned Punishing Fire and maybe Glimpse. I would have also pushed for Bridge and Jite. Cole, is there any cards that like were on your like list of cards besides that you would have thought that they could have unbanned today?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like all those cards probably could have been okay.
Not needed.
Not needed, but like yes, take a look at Jack's tier list video that he made. I mostly agree with that. I think there's a lot of things that could be in the discussion, like yeah, glimpse to nature, punishing fire. Honestly, like Seething Song. Like, what is Seething Song doing on the ban list, guys? Like, let's do Mono Red Charbelcher, sure. They're not gonna play that though because the blue cards are way too good. So
It's true.
yeah, I don't know. This was a good day though. I think that all things considered, it's not the scenario that I would have wished for in its entirety. I'm glad that Breach is banned. I'm glad that they're making changes in other formats. Kind of bummed they didn't make any action happen in Standard or Pioneer, even though I sort of understand where they're coming from. So, yeah.
I agree. I ride that boat with you. They should have banned beans. They should have banned monstrous rage to keep it balanced. And if they're so high on pixie, right, you like don't ban anything out of it. If you want it to be balanced, then you also hit like either nightmare or like one of the bounce spells. But
Yeah.
not doing anything and seeing how the results go is an honorable take. They addressed the problem formats, and they're gonna see how it goes from here. I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll see how much this changes, where they're saying Gruul Mice, Pixie, and Domain Overlords are the most popular strategies. Despite this, they represented only half the field at the Pro Tour, which is a relatively small sample size. Um, but just keep in mind that, like, you know, format diversity sometimes has to come from carnage.
Sometimes you gotta break things in order to make some omelets.
There you go.
That's what I've heard.
Gotta break some eggs. Yeah. Well, I think this is gonna do it for us, friends. Thank you so much for tuning in for the Jack and Cole podcast episode 19, 19, 18,
N-
19,
19.
19. Jack, just in case people are watching on Twitch right now and don't know where to find you, how can they reach out to you or reach you so that they can watch your beautiful content?
Goblin Ringleader on on all formats, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky. We live stream every day. We also do videos every day, and we used to do 10 plus stream shorts every day. However, now we're just doing four shorts a day, a live stream, and a video. So if you like Goblins content or you just want to hear some crazy stuff, come check us out, Goblin Ringleader.
Wondrous. All right, friends. Until next time, we will catch you later. Peace.
Peace.